we're gonna have an echo, so I'm gonna close out of my. Alrighty, so hi everyone. This is Dr. Jess. I am here with Lee. Lee is the amazing lead coordinator for Workability, and she is a next door neighbor to us here in the COG. Thanks for being here today, Lee. I really appreciate it.
I'm excited to be here. It's so nice in this room.
Oh, thank you.
Really
thank you so much. We're proud of what we have going on here, and we're honored to be next door to you because Workability enables so many of our students to be able to go to school here at all, and certainly with more ease and affordability sometimes. Will you tell us a little bit about like what Workability, we hear all these words, right? Like Workability, Department of Rehab, like what does it mean for someone when they see something that says Workability? Like what does Department of Rehab mean in a college context?
So Workability 4 is funded by the Department of Rehabilitation to help students get a career. So they, Department of Rehabilitation, if you're a client of them, they will actually help you with your finances for school, your parking, tuition, books. So they will support you, and then they require you to prepare for employment so you don't just get a degree and then not know how to go about getting a job. So it's for any student that might have a disability or have an injury. Maybe they're going back to school because they need a new career because they can't do the one they already had. So it's financially just a real blessing for anybody that is in school, because you can go to school and leave school debt free, which is awesome. So you don't have that big, you don't have that big chain around your neck that, oh, now I have to pay for this and pay for that, and now I'm in debt, and now I have to get a job, and I can't afford to get an apartment because I'm paying back my student loans. So I mean, it really helps you in your career.
Yeah. And then so I mean, and my son is really open about his unique lived experience. He's a person with autism, and he is also, and that's how he refers to himself. And he is actually a consumer of DOR. So he is not with his campus Workability. He's through a different program. But for him, his school is completely, his tuition is paid for by them, and his books are paid for by them. And it's not a scholarship. It's just funding, right? Is that the same? Like if someone gets through Workability into DOR through you, then it's not a scholarship that way either, right?
No, they do have you apply for financial aid, and whatever aid you don't get, and not the loans, if you get Pell Grants and all that kind of stuff, you'll use those. And then whatever you don't have, then they will go ahead and fund the rest of your education.
Do they fund grad school?
It depends.
Okay.
If their main thing is for you to start a career and not necessarily be a professional student, but they do. But again, that would have to support your career goal. So I recommend, just because it's hard, that you work and then go back to them and ask them, I can make more money if I have this degree, and they do support that.
Yeah, but I can give you different examples too. So like Royce, he wants to be a research biologist. So to be a real research biologist, he has to get a PhD in biology. And what they said to him was, we're funding you through your undergrad, and then if you show the ability to progress beyond your undergrad towards this goal, then we're going to continue to follow you as you progress in that goal. But like, we want to see an acceptance letter into your master's or into your PhD, and then we'll just keep going along for the ride. But right now we know that you're in undergrad. So like, we're funding your undergrad, you got accepted, you're going. But then like those next steps, we're aware of them. We just want to see like that continued progression.
Right.
Yeah, but they'll fund. So like, if your stated goal is to be an attorney, they'll send you to law school.
I have a student just I got a successful closure, which means she's doesn't need Department of Rehabilitation anymore, and she's a lawyer. So so it's been a few years since I've seen her because she went on to grad school and to become a lawyer, but she's working now. So,
Yeah.
yes.
So like one strategy that I talked about with Royce is I was like, well, say the more complex version, if it matches what your actual goal is, maybe say the more involved version. So that way they know that that might come along for the ride. And then if it doesn't, then you're still doing great,
Yes.
But if the job you like involves an advanced degree, DOR doesn't back out before the completion of that advanced degree,
No.
which is kind of amazing.
Yes, and most students, if they want to be like a social worker, for instance, that's automatic that you need a master's degree. So they'll pretty much tell you right away
Pick that then.
that you can't really be a counselor without one. So,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Right. Like if you need licensure, you need license. You were going to say something?
I want to be a counselor, so, but I don't know, communications or social work.
For counseling, there's a bunch of different counseling degrees, right? So there is social work. Comm isn't necessarily counseling, it's just involved a lot. Like, but there's on our campus alone, there's also clinical counseling and then educational counseling, and vocational rehabilitation counseling. And all of them are really, really good. So this is a really good example, for instance, of workability stuff, right? Because workability, they'll walk through the job, the different pathways to different jobs, and what might be the way to reach the stated goal and to clarify the stated goal, and then opportunities along the way, right?
Yeah.
So tell me more about that.
So, Workability is like a little career center. So we help people to prepare. We were discussing his resume before,
Nice.
and you have a lot on your resume, which is great.
She watched it, but
So it's just getting some work experience, helping you both are working on campus, so you're already doing that. But just
I
so
worked
you
I worked in the same position at RCC for almost 2 years,
okay.
and I've been a peer mentor. I think have you seen me on LinkedIn?
I don't think I have. I don't usually link in with my students while they're actively my students, but I will once they complete. Yeah.
I've had job offers like from colleges all over the country.
That's awesome.
So
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And nursing, you'll have no problem probably getting a job in nursing if that's what you end up with. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be just fine.
But it is true that some people become RNs, and then they get a bachelor's degree in nursing, BFN. So that helps with your pay, with your salary goes up. So.
And like some of the best, actors I know in like disability inclusion spaces started, in the path that you're talking about, the RN and the BSN, and then went on and got their DPH, like their doctorate in public health. And they're just like on fire. Like the stuff that they do is amazing in these spaces. I co-presented with somebody this Saturday with a DPH. And I'm like, here's thank you for like letting me bask in your presence. Yeah. And it's like that's a really good example of like those career progression. And so this is something I actually don't know. I'm not just feeding you questions. So DOR, they'll come in and out throughout a person's lifetime. So if someone's like, here's what I can take on right now, but then like 10 years from now, I'm thinking of taking on more, or maybe I'm like now disabled in a new and different interesting way, and I need to take on something different, DOR can come back into their lives at those times.
Yes, you just go ahead and apply again for services. Yeah. So, and Workability for students are with Workability for until they have 3 months secure employment. So even when you graduate here, you still have a Workability for counselor, and we check in with you every month and help with whatever we can help you with, and provide opportunities. There is a federal internship program, that I coordinate every year, and it's for specifically a federal program for students with disabilities so that they can get into federal employment if they want. It can start out as an internship just for the summer, or some of my students just have gotten jobs right off the bat. So it's an opportunity to get into federal government service too.
Yeah, which that is such a mystifying process.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a huge benefit of DOR and workability.
Yeah.
That stuff is in a completely foreign language. Like I don't understand any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a state employee. I navigate bureaucracy all day long, and that level of bureaucracy, I have no idea what's happening.
It's a much faster way. In fact, one of my students that is working now in San Diego full time, he got an opportunity through Workability, and he said he tried to get a federal job and never heard anything. And then through our program, he got the internship and then got a job. Plus the application's a lot shorter with the one I coordinate. And he got such a good offer that his faculty here on campus told him to take the job, finish your schooling after you get settled, because he had such a good job offer, and they knew it was hard to get in.
Yeah.
So he did. He stopped his bachelor's program or whatever, and he started the job. And then you have all your whole life to finish your education, and
I don't know.
job opportunities are hard to come by.
I don't know if I do that because it took me 23 years to get my associates.
Oh, I'm a late.
I started in
I'm a
2000,
late
but I got
bloomer, too.
4.
Yeah.
I have 4 associates now.
Wow.
2 communication, media, language, and comm studies.
I love that.
But I'm on the long track, so it's like bachelor's, master's, doctorate.
Good.
So, but I'm like, my friend Michael's telling me, Michael, dude, you can get a job here as a staff, start as a student, and then you can continue on.
Yeah. And there's so many different ways to get at the things that we're passionate about, right? And none of them are necessarily right or wrong. They're just different ways at getting at the stuff that is like important to us, like in our lives and in our careers. I mean, I started out of undergrad as a photojournalist for the LA Daily News. Yeah. And you told me when I was a photojournalist that I was going to be opening a neurodiversity center. I would need to look up some of the words you just said to me. I'm so old. I don't know if some of those words were actively in use yet. But, I love that workability just provides people options and stability and like opportunity in a world where sometimes that's hard to come by for anyone and can be particularly hard to come by like for disabled folks or divergent folks. Like just being able to complete without student debt alone is a huge deal.
Isn't
really great.
The university hires more student assistants versus somebody that has more experience coming from the outside because they've already been. Am I understanding that right?
I mean, I don't know the statistics, but I would definitely say that like there's a San Bernardino culture.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Right. And there's definitely times where it's important to know the San Bernardino culture in order to like really effectively do your work here. So that's like something that folks would job interviews are definitely very like involved and competitive, and they go through like a multi-step process. And that's to prevent things like cronyism and nepotism and all that, right? But in that, when people speak to like an inclusive environment and a San Bernardino culture, it can be really well received because there's like some truth in that.
If I get hired here, I'll do my master's here.
Yeah.
But if not, then I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Well, if you get hired here, you also get some tuition reimbursement.
That would help for
Get a
grad
fee
school.
waiver.
A fee waiver.
I need that for grad school because I'm already 10 grand of debt for student loans.
I mean, we have multiple grad students in our SSD shop downstairs, and they were already grad students when they came in, and then they got the fee waiver after they came in. I mean,
I definitely am interested.
We will have like a million follow-up conversations, and maybe some of them will be with other entities.
Because I think you have to apply for grad school, what, a year before graduation?
all the programs are different.
Yeah,
Because
Some
I'm
of
coming up, I'm about a year and a half out.
yeah, look at the deadlines now and
Okay.
mark them in your calendar and then start with your rec letters first.
Okay.
Because people sit on those for a hot second.
And usually, I have people, when they ask me to write them a letter, I ask them to give me some highlights. So like when you send an email or whatever, tell them, some of the things that you do, so that you've
I'm
been
doing an
doing.
extracurricular for all my volunteers.
Oh,
That's
nice.
Well, I have to do a resume for 2 of my classes. I have my resume. I'm doing a
Nice.
letter,
That looks good.
so I have Canva Pro, so I'm just doing it
Yeah.
all one thing.
That's perfect. I like it. Yeah. Like when people ask me for a letter, which by the way, like everyone involved in like the existence of the neurodiversity space, like can and should.
Can I use it as a reference on my resume?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But I'll give them like a Mad Lib draft template of a recommendation letter and then ask them to write the first pass at their rec letter, and then I will work like to finalize it with them. And then that way it gets back to them like faster and more in line with like, what it is that they're going for. Yeah. And so everyone has their own process. Some people say yes and then you don't hear from them for a while. Some people get it back to you the same day.
Yeah.
And it's like the, entire Skittles, like taste the rainbow.
Yeah.
Level of experience. But even like for me, I had a recommender who was like in their late 70s. They were like, what is this thing called email? I had to do some hand holding, which is okay. But sometimes similar things can come up in the workforce, right? Like as you kind of demystify the job application process or like the job narrowing down pre-application, like preparing process, is this stuff that Workability could help someone with?
Yes.
Cool. What would that look like? Like, how does someone get, would they go to your events? What are some of the events?
Well, we have workshops every month, and then I usually meet with people one-on-one. So I usually help them with their resume, but I have a resume worksheet, kind of like what you just said, where if they need to give me some information, then I'll go ahead and do a resume for them. And then we meet again and fine tune it. So, because the resume is a lot of times like, media manager. So I would look online for a job that wants a media manager, and I'd look at some of the bullet points and the way they describe in the job description. Then I put some of those into the resume, even though some of them might not be true. That's why I meet with the students, so we have a format of at least what it's going to look like, and then we plow through and make it all true and meeting to the individual person.
Is doing like social media, like public relations, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much doing like I'm wearing public relations on it.
So social media is one aspect of PR. It can be done in other, silos within our institution as well, right? So it can be done out of art and design and graphic design. It can be done out of marketing in the College of Business. But under PR, there's 4 different kinds of PR. There's shared, earned, owned, and something else that I'm working on right now that starts with a P. This is terrible. It's falling out of my brain. You would think I would have this more readily available, but the shared is the social media because it's like network, it's social network. And so from like any kind of PR strategy, social media lives in a PR strategy and can land with a PR manager, PR coordinator. And a lot of our students, like their entry level jobs tend to be like a social media coordinator as part of like an in-house or agency PR team. So yes, and beyond.
I'm doing what I love now. I love social media.
I love that.
Designing. I'll spend maybe 30 hours on just one flyer because I designed a new Project Rebound logo. It took me 2 months because we design it and then the letters, the shape, just trying to get the perfect.
That's good. I'm really happy for you. And I've seen the logo. It's beautiful.
No, I'll show you. I do.
Another thing with Workability, we have coordinate with the Career Center so I can get some of my students interviews if they have employers coming to the campus.
Yeah, that's
That took me 2
amazing.
months.
Oh my gosh,
I did 30 other ones, but this one,
that's the one that's stuck.
yeah, but I don't know. I gotta get it approved.
You will. You'll get more feedback than you ever wanted or asked for, and then you'll get it approved.
My boss is gone right now.
Okay.
Paul Jones is on leave.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Lee,
We also
any,
do mock interviews, so that's something that
Oh.
That's good,
students,
because I have to do that for a class. I could definitely.
yeah, so we practice with answering questions for different fields of, so we have a bunch of questions and we just practice. So we do them in person or on Zoom, and do them as many times as needed, because you need examples. You can't just be textbook smart. You kind of have to pull examples from your life of what you did, how you solved the problem, and what was the outcome. You want to be very good at stating those things. So we practice with those.
I had to do that for a fellowship last week. And I think I got to the last 3 questions and I bombed. You could tell their smile was going down because I wasn't giving them the answers. But my experience, my resume, and they're like, you have the experience, but I'm like, I look forward to working. Well, we still have applications to go through. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not gonna get it.
I hate when that happens.
But I'm like, I'm more than qualified for the position, but it's like,
We've all been there.
And you want the place that you feel like you're a match with, and you want a place that they feel like they're a
well,
match
I'm doing
with you.
the anti-recidivism coalition.
Oh, yeah.
I had my orientation this week. Just another thing to have in my resume.
Well, and you got a really important like theme to the work that you're doing, and like you're so passionate about it, and it's such an important topic, and you're always like squarely in that thread, both in like your scholarship when you go to conferences and like in your line of work.
Conferences is networking.
Yeah.
That's all I do, network. I have my digital card, scanning. It's all about networking.
Perfect. I like it. So then it's Lee, you can meet with like industry professionals too, right? So if I wanted to, you know, it like if I was like Matthew and I wanted to go into social media, I could meet with another social media person through like the co-op, right? Okay. Can you tell me more about that?
Oh, we have people like Dr. Jeff, actually, that
I'm
are
everywhere.
on campus, all over the campus in all different fields that work with our students. They'll maybe, if you do a mock interview with me, then I might hook you up with somebody else that you don't know that's a professional on campus, and you'll do a mock interview with that person.
Or you can do like a informational interview too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do either one where you ask them questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Because workforce recruitment program, that federal program I told you about, they used to interview students with asking questions, and I would get the questions in advance, so we'd be very prepared. But they've changed it to informational interviewing. So you get to actually talk to this federal recruiter that has a job in the federal government and ask them, you know, questions about what it's like to work in the federal government and how did you get your job and anything else you might want to ask them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Any last parting words? Like if you wanted to make sure that, you know, a student who might benefit from workability, or might even just not know if they might benefit from workability or not, like any last words you'd want them to know? Should they definitely come talk to you to find out more, anything like that?
You can come talk to me, and I told Matthew we have somebody from the Department of Rehabilitation that does orientations once a month on Zoom.
Okay.
So that's who I'm going to hook you up with to find out what happened with your application. And you can ask questions there too. And, you know, it's not a lifelong commitment. It's an opportunity for you. And if for some reason you don't want to do it anymore, you don't have to. So it's just a resource for students. That's very helpful, especially financially. Yeah. And just lots of people, some people have never worked. You've got a lot of experience, but I work with students that don't have any experience.
I have a lot of experience, but I worked a lot of retail, a lot of dead end jobs before. In 2019, 2021 is when I really started working as a student assistant. And then I noticed I started getting more involved. When I got
That's
more
cool.
into student government, my mindset changed. Like, I can do this, I can do that. I can do this. I've been on student equity. I've served as a voting member for 3 years.
I love that.
I've served as student co-chairs on committees. So I wish I could do it here.
We need to get you, I remember we've talked about this, like, we need to get you dialed with more of
Yeah.
that.
I would love to be
Yeah.
on some of these committees.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna add that to my list.
Because I noticed like
Perfect.
during the strike at ASI, they sided more with administration versus the students who
Oh, fun.
in office, which is not.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that ASI right now is definitely recruiting for some roles, so watch for that, but there should be some additional committee roles too, so I'll add that to my
I'll do
list.
committees, but I don't want to be in student leadership.
That's fair.
It's
It's a lot.
I had 2 breakdowns when I did that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes some of the, because obviously like president, vice president, all that stuff, it's like its own full-time job. But then there's also like the small, like breakout groups, and that's a little bit less overwhelming sometimes. Yeah, but we'll follow back around about that. I think that's a good idea. All right, so talk to Lee. Lee has a website as well for Workability. You can always just Google CSUSB Workability and it will come right up for you. You go to the SSD website, you can click straight through to Workability from there. It is an accessible website, and it is lovely. And there is a place where you can just sign up for more information right there on the website. And then you'll get connected with Lee or another member of the Workability team, possibly Tyler, and all kinds of good things will happen from there. My kid is with Workability. They're saving our own family at least $60,000 in college tuition. There's probably no better way you could spend, an hour of your life getting hooked up with Workability than getting hooked up with Workability. I can't do anything else in an hour that would give me back $60,000. So it's good. It's really, really good. So yeah, Lee, if you don't know Lee already, get to know her. Thank you, Lee. Thank you
for having me.
so
Nice to meet you.
much.
So, and I'm right next to Dr. Jess over there. So if anybody has any questions or if you have any friends that, from SSD or whatever that might benefit from it, feel free to tell them.
Yeah, and if you don't know where to go, just go to the cog and we'll get you dialed from here. So
Yes.
Thank you. I'm gonna end the recording. Thanks to Lee. Thanks for everything.
Have a good day, everybody.